Afria. It's the fourth largest cannabis company in the industry, and last Friday it had a market cap of almost $2 billion. Now, well, it's under $1 billion, but according to two short sellers, it should be zero. Quintessential Capital Management and Hindenburg Research put out a report on Monday alleging that Afria is, quote, a shell game with a cannabis business on the side. Afria denies the allegations and says it was preparing its own report. Gabriel Grego is founder of Quintessential and joins us now. Gabriel, interesting read. In a nutshell, can you boil down what was it that makes you feel it's worth zero?
Well, you want to start right away from the end of the report. So the first thing I would say is I would tell your readers and your listeners to please check out and read in depth the report. This is something that all investors should do. Do your own due diligence, see what the facts are, and then make up your mind. So you're asking me the conclusion. I'll tell you the conclusion. We are making allegations here that the whole company, or actually a system of companies, may be part of a scheme to enrich a number of insiders at the expense of shareholders, basically. And that is one problem. In other words, the company seems to be expending this enormous amount of cash for buying assets, which in our opinion are worth a small fraction of whatever they're being paid. So first of all, any cash that a company manages to get its hand on, typically through shareholders' issues, end up into this acquisition that long-term, in our opinion, will prove almost worthless. That's one problem. So even if that issue is taken away, yes, you still have Canada, of course, that's important. There are some facilities there, but you're still left with an industry where there is enormous amount of competition, when a lot of observers and analysts have said that there's probably already a lot of overcapacity, and where at the end of the day you're building up something which will be a commodity, because at the end of the day it's a plant. So we have a commodity, you'll have this management problem, and probably very expensive litigation ahead, if our thesis is correct.
Position. Talk a little bit about whether this has any connection at all with the cannabis industry.
In the case, we're always a bottom-up type of short sellers. So we target a company because we think there are issues within that specific company. So the last stock we targeted was Fully. That was a fashion company. Before that, we dealt with Global PLC. That was a software company.
And you've been proved right with both those calls.
Yes. I mean, I've always been proven right. In the future, we'll probably do well. Whether it is the current companies that will do well, that's a completely different question. But that's not the point of my report. This is specific to what's going on in this company.
Are you still short Afria now?
Yes, we are.
And because you see it going to zero, I'm interested as to what tipped you off initially. Why suddenly delve into this particular company? Yeah,
typically, we're much better in investigating company rather than in screening them and finding the targets. So almost always is another fund that comes to us because we have a reputation, number one, of being skilled investigators. Number two, we have a willingness to speak very publicly, as you can see, against a company if we believe the allegations are strong enough and if we have enough information, which in our opinion is damning. So in this case, it was Nate Anderson from Hindenburg Research that approached me recently and said, hey, there are a lot of red flags in this company. I think you should be looking into it, and let's see if together we can dig out more information. So that's how I came across the company.
Do you find that in this kind of market environment where we're at the late stage of the economic cycle, of the business cycle, and with this kind of volatility and people feeling very anxious, it's easier to find candidates to short, or is it harder?
Well, you have a little bit of a tailwind just because the rest of the market is going down. But in my type of shorts, the idea is that usually the allegations that I make are so overwhelming and so damning that they're pretty much independent of whatever the market is doing. So if in the summer, only in September, this company was trading much higher than it is now, and it seemed like almost a boom. And I would have had no problem to come up with their thesis. The fact is, we only speak when we have the facts, and back then we didn't have all the facts.
All right, Gabriel Grego of Quintessential Capital Management presenting the facts here on the short he has on Afria, saying that it will go to zero. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.